Okay, this is section 3.4, some homework, number 20. And this is particle motion. A particle moves along a line so that its position at any time t greater than or equal to 0 is given by the function s of t, that's our position function, negative t cubed plus 7t squared minus 14t plus 8, where s is measured in meters and t is measured in seconds. Find the instantaneous velocity at any time. Well, remember the velocity is just the derivative of the position function. So here's my position function, so I take the derivative and I get negative 3t squared plus 14t minus 14. Okay, so that should be straightforward. Letter B, find the acceleration of the particle at any time. So remember the acceleration is just the derivative of the velocity at any time. So this is my velocity function. So if I take the derivative of that, that's just going to be negative 6t plus 14. And then we have a question, when is the particle at rest? So we want to find out when the velocity is 0. So what we do is we take the velocity function and we set that equal to 0. And again, this is not factorable, so we're going to have to do a little bit of work, so we're going to have to work with our calculator. Okay? Now I know later I'm going to have to describe the motion because it says letter D, describe the motion of the particle. And at what values of t does the particle change directions? Well, that would be part of the description of the motion. So we're going to have to go through that. So what I did on my calculator was I entered into y1 the position function because I know I'm going to use it. So this is the position function here. And this is the derivative, which is the velocity. And I know I'm going to have to find when that's going to be 0. So I'm going to do that first. So hopefully you can follow everything that's going to go on. So first of all, I'm going to graph this. So I turned off the position function, so I'm just looking at the velocity function here. And then I'm going to go ahead and graph it. So I'll go to zoom 4 to get a look at it. And I'll be looking for these zeros, so I'll try to find the first 0. So I go to second, calculate, second, calculate. And I go down to 0, enter. And I want to find the left bound, so I'll cursor over as we did in class. So I press my arrow over here, like this. And I get a left bound about there, so I'll press enter. Then I'll cursor over a little bit more so I get a right bound. So this side's the left bound, that side's the right bound. Enter. Want to guess? No. And what I get is 1.45. So that's the first time the velocity is equal to 0. Now you can see here the velocity is negative, then positive, and then negative. So I'm going to go left, then right, then left. So that's going to be kind of what my particle is going to do. I'll try to get a little bit more detail on that. Now I want to save this because eventually I'm going to have to find the position. At this time. This is a time 1.4514 seconds, etc. So I'll go to home screen, so it's second mode, which gives me the home screen. And then we're going to use the store, and that's down here. And I'll press store. And what that will do is put whatever value I had on the x, the last x, into wherever I want to store it. I'm going to put that on alpha A, right there. And if I press enter, I'll check it. That's going to be that 1.45, and that's the time. The first time my velocity is 0, so the first time I stop. Okay, then I'll go back. I'll just zoom 4 again. I guess I can go back to my graph. And then I'm going to go to second, calculate again, and I'm going to find the other 0. So I'll go to second, and calculate, which is right over there. Go down to 0, press enter, and then I'm going to scroll over here. You can see I'm following this little cursor, and that's going to be my left bound. Enter. And I'll go down a little bit farther to get a right bound. Enter. No guess, and there's my other time, 3.215. And that's the second time it stops, or the last time it stops. So what I do is I'm moving left, I stop, I move right, I stop, I move left. So by looking at that velocity graph, I can pretty much get a general idea of what my motion's going to be. So I hope you kind of think about that. Okay, then I'll go to second quit, and I'm going to store that. So I'll go to store, and I'll put that in alpha B, enter, so I've got those times. All right? So that's what's happening so far. Okay. So I've got that happening right now. Okay? So that was the question they asked you, when is velocity equal to 0? So we have those two times. That's going to be 1.45, and I can just 1.451 if I want. And at 3.215. And that was the answer to letter C. That's when my velocity was equal to 0. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay. And I do run out of time on these videos, so I'm going to do the other part on a second video. So that's going to be the B part. This will be the A part. So I hope you understand how we got so far, what we got, and how to use the calculator on that storing and those variables.